Hi everyone, it's Sue from Art Craft and Journals. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to do a bit of an update on my quilt that I'm making. What I've done is I've now sewn on all the embroidered panels that I had. Now it's going to be very difficult to do the whole quilt in shot, but I will sort of try and do it in sections. So we've got this section here, which is the top. Then we have the middle section. As you can see, I've added a few little bits and pieces, and I have some newer bits which I'll show you in a moment. The bottom part is that. So I've put on these sections here. So what I'm going to do now is, because when I put them on there were quite a few, still a few big areas that didn't have anything, so I've had to have a look around, and what I've done is I've drawn a cat on the calico, and this one here is one of the cats that I've done, and I've popped that one there. And what I have done is a second one over here. Now I'll just bring this up a little bit closer so you can have a look. Basically it was a pencil outline. I then cut out a piece of fabric to fit the body and the tail, sewed those in place, and then embroidered around the edges and put some legs on, which was just white calico. So that's that one. Now what I have done is I've done a second one to go on the other side here, and I might just bring the camera in a bit closer now. Okay, now you may not be able to see, you might be able to see that there's a pencil outline of a cat. It's similar design to that one, just slightly bigger head and a different shaped body. So what I've done is I've done a pencil outline. Then what I did do, and I'll just move this out of the way. Alright, what I did do, I did a pencil outline. Then I traced the body section onto some tracing paper, and I'll just have to grab some because I forgot to get that. Okay, so I've got a little piece of, it's just tissue paper. Now when I did the other one I actually used my light box, but my light box is a little bit big, so it was a bit hard to put on screen. So I'm going to, hopefully I'll be able to see through. Yep, I should be able to. Basically what I'm going to do is do a pattern so that I know what size to cut the fabric for the body part. So all I do is simply trace the basic outline. Now I don't worry about the legs for the moment, they can come later. I'm going to do the tail, although I usually do the tail separately anyway. Okay, so that is the basic outline for the body. So it's really nothing, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, nothing too fancy, it's just the shape that I need. So what I'm going to do is I have chosen this little piece of fabric, which is an offcut from something, and all I'm going to do, pin it to it, now I'm sure there's other ways of doing this, this is just my way. And I'm just going to cut that out now. Now I'm going to cut the tail off because, as I said, I might do the tail in plain for this one. The other one I did the tail the same as the body, but I think this one I'll do it a little bit differently, so they're not quite the same. Now I didn't allow for any seam allowances or anything like that. It was simply just exactly the same size that I needed. Okay, so then just make sure I don't lose the tail. Get rid of this out of the way. Okay, so then all I do, take that off. I'll just come up a little bit more. There we go. Take that off and I'm going to pin it into place. It's funny, this one's got the bigger flowers on there, and it's, when I initially did it, in my head it was going to be a male cat, but now that it's got flowers, it's now now it's seems to be it's a female, but that's okay. Now I'll just pin those down. Okay, now needle and thread. Now I'm just using normal cotton for this part. Now what I did was I actually did a blanket stitch around the edges. Probably not the best stitch to use, but I thought it might just give it a little bit of stop some of the edges fraying a little bit. But I might actually, when I did the other one, on this one, I actually did the blanket stitch around there, and then I did like a straight stitch over the sides. I'm not sure if you can actually see it, but see if I can get a little bit closer. You should be able to see that. I think I might actually do the same around the edge rather than the blanket stitch. The blanket stitch it didn't really work as well as I was hoping. So I think I might just do that. I'm not sure what you'd call it. To me it's just a straight stitch over the side. So I might just bring you down a little bit again. So I might do that instead and see how that goes. So all I do is start at the back of the patterned fabric, make sure the little end's tucked away, and it's just simply a matter of putting the needle on the outside, bringing it up next to it, pulling it through, so you're actually over stitching the side of the fabric. And I'll just continue that all the way around. So basically it's straight across to the edge of the fabric, down, diagonally up, and then back down again. So it's just you're catching the edge of the fabric the whole time. And look, as I said before, there's probably other ways of doing it. This is just my way. It's relatively simple, relatively quick. It's neat. Well, it is if you try. So I'm just going to go right the way around. Now I may stop the video and continue round until I finish. Now I have a small knot there, so I'll just untangle that if I can. Okay, so it's down, across, down, diagonal, up, across, down, diagonal, up. And I'll just continue that all the way around this piece of fabric. Alright, so I finished sewing that on. Now what I have done, I've also cut two little legs that are going to sit in there. Now I didn't trace the pattern or anything, I just simply cut out of a doubled up piece of fabric, so they're exactly the same. I've also used the pattern for the tail and cut the tail, so that will go this way, like so, and it will stand out a bit more because it will have a coloured embroidery thread around. So now I'm going to pin those into place. Just take that off for the moment. Pin those into place, and then I'll do exactly the same around the edges for the feet. So I'll simply sew around those as well. So I'll do that off camera because it does take a while. So I'll be back. Okay, so I've done that. I've gone around each of the feet, or the legs, and the tail. So now I'm going to use some embroidery floss, and this one is just a DMC 1792, and I chose that because it's sort of similar colouring to some of the flowers on the fabric. So all I'm going to do is a stem stitch around the sides of the patterned fabric, and I think I might just go down a little bit. That's it. And basically stem stitch, well, I think it's called a stem stitch, is basically you go across and then halfway you come back up halfway. That's how I was taught a long time ago. And then just a little bit further across and back down again. I'm sure you'll be able to find some videos on how to do this better than I can explain it. And all I'm going to do is continue all the way around the body and the legs and the tail, and I'm just thinking probably the head as well. With the other one, what did I do? Let's have a look. Oh yeah, I did. So I went all around the body, and I just did the mouth and the ears in the red. In this case, I think, yeah, it's the same red. It's sort of a red. It tones in with both the colours. I deliberately chose those colours because they were similar to some of the other colours in the quilt. Alright, so I think it might be better if I bring it out a little bit. So I'm just going to go around those, as I said, with stem stitch. Once I've done that, I will be back and show you what the next step is. Alright, I thought I'd pause with the blue thread for the moment. What I have done is I've used stem stitch around there, then I've done a back stitch around this part. What I thought I'd do is I might pause here and just fill in one of the ears just to show you what I do there. Now again, DMC embroidery thread, and I'm using 2 threads at a time for this. I think that's as thick as I need it. When I was taught to embroider many years ago in high school, you didn't knot. You never used a knot in your embroidery, but these days I do. So just starting from the back, and all I'm doing, I guess it's kind of like long stitches or a satin stitch, but I'm not doing the threads or the stitches really close to each other. I'm basically leaving a little bit of a space. So I've got the line, you may not be able to see it, but there is a line for the inside of the ear. So I've just come up and I'm now going to go down on the other side of the line. Now there's 2 ways you could do this. I guess you can go back up the opposite side and bring your thread up, but I find that's a bit of a waste, so I tend to come up next to it on the same side. So you tend not to waste too much thread that way. The only thing is you've got to make sure you don't pull it so it puckers. I guess you should really use an embroidery hoop, but I find that I always tend to do it on smaller pieces, so the hoops never really fit, so I just don't bother. And then down again, the opposite direction, and then up again on the same side. And as I said, I'm leaving a little bit of a space between each sort of thread so that you get more of a, it's not a true satin stitch, I suppose. If I just bring that up a little bit, it's hard to see. Maybe if I do a little bit more. Where am I here? So I bring it up. I try to hold the fabric sort of tight with my fingers, I guess, when I'm doing it. and down again. Maybe I'll bring this up a little bit. That's better. Okay, where am I? This side. So just following the line, the pencil line on either side. Doesn't have to be perfect, of course, unless you're a perfectionist. So you would continue that across right up to the top of the ear. And I must say it's a lot harder to do embroidery when you have to do it away from your body. It's so much easier when you can bring it close. Now, a little bit further away than I want it to be there. It's a little bit wonky, but it's not too bad. So I'll continue that right to the end. Then what I'm going to do is I will do satin stitch for the eyes and nose, just some long stitches in black for the whiskers, and probably stem stitch for the smile, the mouth, and that down will be black. So I will continue that. I still have to do around the tail and around the legs and paws. Once I've done that, I will then sew it down, and that will probably, I will show you on my next video. So I hope you enjoyed that. It was just a quick video just to show you the progress I'm making with the quilt. I'm enjoying doing it, but I must admit I can't wait till I start putting some smaller embellishments all over it, and do a little bit of some slow stitch patches and things like that, and some lace. Really looking forward to that part as well. But I'm really pleased with how it's going so far. So I hope you like it, and I hope you watch the next video when I finish it. But thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.